Hey there, my name is Heather Hornbeak. I teach media communication. So I'm from the Nashville area where I grew up, and I went to school in West Tennessee where I met my husband. Right after college, we got married and moved into an apartment near downtown Nashville where I started working at Lifeway Christian Resources headquarters. So there I was brand new, barely out of school, barely knew how to do anything, and got the opportunity to work on some projects for Ridgecrest Center in North Carolina, as well as Glorieta in New Mexico, where I created all of their special events, flyers, brochures, any kind of printed material that they needed for their events. While we were living in Nashville, my husband and I met some good friends who were from the Netherlands, and they were working at this technology company as industrial designers. And so we got to know them, and we're really excited about some of the work that they were doing. And they invited us to the company where we met the owner and the director. While we were there, I quickly found out that the owner of the company was good friends with Steve Jobs. And at the time, this is pre-iPhone, and so we were, just brand new into all of the revolutions happening in technology. I knew right away that I wanted to be a part of it. And I didn't care what I did, whether it was delivering copies to people or getting the mail. I wanted to be a part of everything that they were doing. So my husband and I both actually ended up working there after a lot of persuasion, a lot of emails sending to convince them to hire me. And I became part of some really cool projects, working with the Apple Store and Best Buy and all of the major retailers at the time. While I was working there at the technology company, I learned a ton, and it was a very fast-paced, chaotic environment, especially for me when I didn't have a whole lot of skills under my belt. And while I was working there, I fell in love with photography. And so I had a lot of access to a lot of the camera equipment, and eventually built my own studio where I had several photographers working with me. So I did that for a little while, and while I had my studio, I had several people ask me if I could teach them photography. And I found that I really enjoyed teaching. And so I was talking to a former professor of mine who really wanted to hire me to teach at the college, and he asked me if I could go back to school to get my master's, and I just said, where would you like me to go? And he said Aziza's Pacific University. He knows it's a really good school. So I said, okay, I'm going to go there. So I went to Aziza, and while I was there, my husband and I owned an AV business, which was a lot of work, but it was very rewarding in a lot of ways, and had two children. I had Emery right before I started school, and Oliver came 4 years later. As I was graduating with my master's, I found a university that wanted to hire me full-time, and we found that the Lord was really gracious to us and helped, so much transition happened so quickly. We sold 2 houses, some cars, our inventory. I graduated and created 4 syllabi, all traveling from California to Kentucky. So it was a bit of a whirlwind, but I ended up teaching, and I've been teaching ever since, and I love it. So now we live in Kentucky, in rural Kentucky, and we have 2 children, a dog, some chickens, and we built out this van for us to travel in. I have some stories that I'll share with you in the course about our travels. We found ourselves really itching to explore the United States and wanted to see more of the world with our children and through a children's eyes, and found ourselves really in depth with building out a camper van and just taking off, teaching remotely and exploring the world. So in this course, I will have even more detailed stories that kind of fill in where this bio has gaps. And I look forward to having you in the course.